everybody, and welcome to a Monday edition of the Outside Insider with me, Liam Jenkins, where it is my job to go back to the scene of yesterday's crime and try and work out what the hell happened in the Tides of Cincinnati. It's going to be a bumpy ride. I hope you are all as well as you possibly can be after sitting through yesterday's stunning train wreck. And it's my job to basically be CSI here, and not even a good CSI. We're not talking CSI New York or Miami. We're looking at NCIS level. It's that bad. And the game itself was a shambles. There are a lot of places I could start it. I think the one place I do want to, though, is just with a big thank you, because we are now in officially week 3 of PSN Radio. Woo! Yeah, PSN Radio! Yeah! Up the boys! Alright, if you are not subscribed already to PSN Radio, make sure you do. It's where you can get all of our podcasts, from the Outside Insider to Flipping the Birds to Baseline Scoop to Bullpen Bullies to the Pick Swap Pod. We've got everything coming in your ears, alright? Look, we're adults here. We needed a bit of a laugh, didn't we? Okay. So now with the promo out of the way, a massive thank you for your support. We're into week 3. We're having a whale of a time doing this. You guys have given us so much support and love. We are so thankful for you. Unfortunately, you might hate us though this week, because it's going to take a turn. It's going to be aggressive. And there are a lot of things I want to talk about. And the first one, the most immediate one, it has to be a message to Doug Pederson. It does. I could sit here and talk about Carson Wentz, but at this point, that's beating a dead horse. All he is doing week on week is reassuring us that he is the problem with this offense, or at least one of them. The other problem is a man that in 2017, people were livid he wasn't the coach of the year, and that Sean McVay was. And there was such a distaste from fans around the NFL, from media, saying, what the hell has happened? This is a disgrace. The man beat Bill Belichick with his own play, the Philly special, in the Super Bowl. He's taken Nick Foles and remolded that offense and made something special. And then he goes on 3 back-to-back playoff runs. Yes, they got worse every time, but that's not the point. He's battled injuries. He's battled Nigel Bradham with an umbrella. He's battled a quarterback controversy. Now he's got to do another one. This is Doug Pederson. Big balls Doug. Crusher Pederson. The man who on 4th down throws his balls to the wall, goes flying in there, no holds barred, and will give whatever it takes to get his team over the line. One of the most aggressive coaches in the NFL. And I don't know what's happened. I don't know where he's gone. I don't know where this hyper-aggressive trust in your offense, trust in your quarterback, trust in your... I don't know where it's gone. Doug Pederson is a shell of the coach that he was. And I said this in the podcast last week, where it felt like there was friction, and there was the report that came out that said he's reached his limit. And I was joking around saying, well, limit of what? His height limit? Because he's an adult? Because he can't grow anymore? Like, his emotional limit? Like, reach his limit of what? And I still don't know. But then you get him going into press conferences, telling Jimmy Kempski, have you ever quarterbacked in the NFL? And the second he said that, it was clear to me there was a problem. It was abundantly clear to me there was a problem. Because the only time you throw out an excuse like that is after you've laid an egg and you've got no explanation for it. It's like if you go for a round of golf and go home and your wife says, how did you do, honey? And you've done dreadfully. You explain, and she's like, there's always next time. You're like, have you ever played golf? And it's like, I just don't understand. There is no place for that behaviour. Okay? And then we get to Sunday. Where, I don't even want to get into it. It hurts me to think about. To go back and have to think about this. Forget everything else. Forget the skewed play calling, forget the rushing for now. Let's just focus on one scenario. It's the obvious scenario. Carson Wentz drags the team into overtime. Somehow, I mean, it was by his legs. It wasn't through his arm. That's for damn sure. Right at the death, after a very exhausting overtime period, Jake Elliott has the chance to pull off a miracle from 59 yards out. He's been there before. We all remember the Giants game. A 61-yard walk-off game winner. We've all been there. We all remember. You were in the stands. You were at home. You were cheering. Players ran onto the pitch screaming. That era of Eagles football, that aggression, that hype, that belief, that trust. We've been there. We've smelled it coming. The absolute shithousery is the only word to describe it. And then Carlos Dunlap decides to, motion inside. Matt Pryor leaps out of his skin, draws an offside penalty, and then it's 4th and 17 from the 64-yard line. So you're thinking, there's 19 seconds left on the clock. 19 seconds. The Bengals, just for context here, think about it, were 3 for 13 on third down, couldn't run the ball, which meant that to get from the 50 to the 30, 20 yards in 20 seconds, there's got to be some level of deep route there or intermediate route, right, where Burrow's got to throw it. He'd been hit 18 times. He'd been sacked 8. There's no time for him to sit back in the pocket and make a throw. Realistically, he's not getting there if the defense just do half a job and don't give up a PI. It's not happening, okay? So 19 seconds left. They'd had 24 yards all overtime, the Bengals. 24 yards all overtime. So Doug Pederson, 64 yards out, could either send Jake Elliott out to absolutely yeet it into oblivion after he made a 54-yard kick earlier in the game, or he could send out Cameron Johnson to punt, and he bailed. He turned away. He turned away on his team, showed a lack of faith, and he threw the game and said, nah, we'll tie. We'll save the tie. We'll save the tie. We will save... Sorry, let me just comprehend this, okay? We'll save the tie. This is a sport where you, in very minimal circumstances, you cannot tie. You cannot tie. Like, it is designed that there is a winner and a loser. This isn't soccer where you can win, lose, or draw, and it's like, oh, even result. It is designed to give both teams as much leverage as possible to find a winner and a loser. And Doug Pederson goes, we'll take the tie. As if a tie is going to be the deal breaker in 10 games' time when they're 4-12. Oh, sorry, 4-11-1. Like it's going to make a difference. You know? Like, what value does that have to the team? Other than showing a lack of faith and that Pederson throws in the towel and goes, nah, we're done here. We're done here. I've seen enough. You've seen enough. We're done. Are you kidding me? Like, are you taking the piss? That's your head coach. The same head coach that would go for it on 4th down so much. Where in 2018, the Eagles converted on 62% of 4th down attempts. Among the best in the league, okay? In 2017, 68%. In 2020, they're 0 for 3. This offense is drying up. It's a shell of what it used to be. And I understand that there is a lot of blame on Carson Wentz for being genuinely terrible right now. But I watched the game again this morning. And I put myself through it because, I have to, unfortunately. As part of my job. My job doesn't have many downsides apart from the supreme amount of stress and emotional torment it gives me. But having to re-watch games like that about 5 times is certainly one of them, okay? The amount of third downs, like there was one third down in the 4th quarter, it was 3rd and 12, and they screened it. Like, why? I don't understand. There is no identity to this offense. In 2017, you look at the offense, and there is a clear identity of, it's run first, it's LeGarrette Blount, it's the power back, and then you've got X, Y, and Z. I haven't got a clue. If someone said sum the Eagles offense up in 5 words, as in how it's run, I couldn't do it. And I study the damn team. I couldn't tell you what they're doing right now. Is it run first? Well, no, because they're not going to run against a team that's now given up 465 rushing yards in 3 weeks. They're not going to do that. They're going to make Carson Wentz throw 47 times. So they're not going to bother giving Miles Sanders, who averaged 5 yards per carry, a chance against that team. They're just going to lob it at them. They're just going to throw it. They're going to give Carson Wentz, an inaccurate quarterback who couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo, just relentless chances, time after time. Just yeet it, mate. Just yeet it downfield and hope for the best. That's all you've been doing this. Just do it again, right? There is no, and I mean no, identity to it. Is it screens? Well, they don't work, so it's certainly not the screen game. Is it play action? Well, play action only works if you've got a run game, which the Eagles don't. Therefore, play action doesn't work. And you need an offensive line to be competent. That's not happening. Jason Peters, on a totally different note, I am so glad he demanded money to play left tackle, because my God, what were we doing without him? What would the Eagles do without the legendary, the iconic, the Hall of Fame Jason Peters, who goes into a game and gets absolutely roasted? Thank God Howie Roseman saw sense and paid him an extra $3 million. I don't know what they would have done if Jack Driscoll had got in there as a rookie and developed. My God, what a tragic world we would live in. This offense, I don't understand. It's like they are forcing a rebuild. And they don't have to. They had the perfect situation to go into a season built around Carson Wentz with so much speed and so much weaponry. And Marty Moninweg. And bringing in new names like Rich Scangarello and building a play-action offense around the strengths of Carson Wentz outside the pocket. And all they have done is take the same principles and apply them where the personnel don't match. So you take a struggling quarterback, an offense built around the struggling quarterback that isn't around his strengths, just there, an ailing offensive line, and a play caller that, in my opinion, threw in the towel. He second-guessed himself on WIP this morning, said maybe I should have kicked it. Hey, you should have kicked a lot. You should have kicked the tyres on players this offseason. You should have kept it separate play. There is so much wrong with this team right now. And there shouldn't be. And that's the thing. It's not like 2015 with Chip Kelly, where you could see the wheels gradually fall off. And you could identify a reason. And you can say, do you know what? The Billy Davis defense, it's Byron Maxwell, DeMarco Murray doesn't fit the scheme, whatever it may be. He's not a Chip Kelly guy. Chip Kelly's not an emotionally intelligent coach. You can make the arguments and they made sense. None of this does. Because on paper, this was a dream. This was a dream team. And I'm not going to put that term out there lightly. It was. All the speed in the world of offense. Howie Roseman said, you want speed? I'll give you speed. And he went out and got 3 wide receivers in the draft. He brought in Marquise Goodwin. He had Desean Jackson. And nothing has changed. As much as this offense has changed, it remains exactly the same. And a lot of that falls on Doug Pederson. And he has got to take a hard look in the mirror right now. Because if his quarterback is failing and struggling and can't hit easy throws, and you're doing nothing to help him, I don't know. Do you know what? I do want to applaud Carson Wentz a little bit. Because, yes, he was terrible. And he's been terrible for 3 weeks. And his accuracy isn't there. And it's a fundamental problem. It's not uncoachable. He's not a bad quarterback. He makes the right reads. It's just to do with the mechanics, which are either rusted beyond belief or a screw's come out somewhere. I don't know what's gone on. And I've done a film room on this. I don't know why it's happened. I know what's happened. I don't know why, right? That's on the coaching staff. But on a separate note, Carson Wentz recognised he was fundamentally flawed, I think. And there were several occasions where he pulled up for a deep pass, said, nah, I'm going to tuck it and run. To his detriment, bless him. And he ran for 65 yards on 9 attempts. Half of Miles Sanders, might I add, Half of Miles Sanders' attempts. He rushed for 18 against the run defense that gave up 300. I'm not mad. I'm not mad, okay? I'm not angry about it. But it's just not right. Carson Wentz, for all of his problems and setbacks and mechanical struggles, saved that game by putting the offense on his back and saying, I'll do it myself. Fine, I'll do it. I'll run. Guys, I'm sorry if I can't throw you into open space. I'll sort it. I'll do it my way. And he put Daredevil on. He put on the Houdini cape. And he scored a touchdown on his own with very little time remaining. And we can criticize him all we want. We can say, hey, you're sucking in terms of a mechanical standpoint. What's happened? Why is Wentz regressing? Blah, blah, blah. His heart's still in it. That grit is still in it. That mentality is still in it, for better or worse. It gets the better of him sometimes. It gets the worst of him sometimes. But it's still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. And I like that. And I just wanted to, if we're going to have one silver lining to anything about this offense, it's Carson Wentz not going down without a fight. It's not over till it's over. And he didn't throw in the towel. And we've seen him do that before, to be fair. Like, you go back to that again, that Saints game 2018, you go to the Pats game last year, where he does. He notably, there's a point in the game, he's like, oh, screw it. Launch it deep, interception. Launch it deep, interception. He didn't do that here. He didn't do that. He kept going, he kept his head down, and he did it himself in ways. He recognised he couldn't get it done through the air. He did it on the ground. And that is a massive, massive deal. Because that was the difference. If Doug Pederson's not going to draw up a run game, Carson Wentz will do it himself. That was critical in getting that game to overtime. But it shouldn't have to come to that. The fact that Doug Pederson... I don't know if it's the voices or like there's too many. They've got Andrew Briner in there. We forget about Rich Scangarello, Marty Mordinreg. I don't know whether it's too many voices and Pederson's overwhelmed with it. I don't know if it is that none of them are having an impact and it's Pederson left to himself without an offensive coordinator and he's just now surrounded by yes men. I don't know. But this isn't Doug Pederson. This isn't the head coach. It should have been the coach of the year in 2018 or 2017, I should say. This isn't the most aggressive fourth down coach in football. This isn't the coach that, no matter what, will have unwavering faith in his team, in his offense, on fourth and short to get the job done. This isn't a head coach that will trust in his quarterback to go for the most stupendous of plays on a 2-point conversion. This is someone that won't even go for a 2-point conversion now. Someone that was so conservative to just get the game to overtime and then so conservative to get out of overtime. I've never seen such a swift change of heart. And I don't know where it's come from. And I don't know what's causing it. And it hurts from... Like you're trying to work it out. The more you focus on it and try and understand why any of this is happening, the more it will hurt as a fan. And it's not often I do this. You know, like my job as an analyst is to say as unbiased as I can. It hurts to see so many people who deserve better on that team being absolutely shafted. Guys like Zach Ertz. Guys like, I would say Jalen Reagor up to that point. Lane Johnson. Guys like, I'd argue Nate Herbig. On defense, guys like Cravon LeBlanc, who is the fall guy for Nickel Roby-Coleman. Someone who has allowed 10 of 11 passes to be completed and done absolutely nothing this season. I think that's a nice transition onto the defense because that is its own beast in many, many ways. Like, there is so much to worry about on that front that it's almost easy to forget when discussing the offense. Like, because the offense was so brutal, you forget that Nate Gary exists. And again, it goes back to that total disconnect between the front office and the coaching staff. Why is Nate Gary playing 70 snaps, running around like a headless chicken, giving up 2 touchdowns so far? I think 10 first downs he's given up. And you've got a 3rd round pick in Desean Taylor not playing. And to credit, Darius Slay played well. I think Trevor Williams, my guy, my big off-season man that I fell in love with his tape. Big fan of him. Came in, did a good job given he was elevated off the practice squad. The secondary outside of that was tragic. The defensive line was incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think that deserves a lot of credit. BG took over that game in the 4th quarter. Malik Jackson has easily been the standout of this entire team up to this point. Really making up for lost time. 18 hits on Joe Burrow, 8 sacks. The defensive line absolutely killed it. The linebackers let it down. And again, this is non-Schwartz. It's got to go to a Roseman rant. Because this Eagles team needed a strong draft. They needed players. They needed cornerback help. They needed linebackers. And instead of Akeem Davis-Gaither, instead of Logan Wilson, they bring in Desean Taylor, who is about as raw as a piece of meat and hasn't even seen the field once. 3rd round pick. 2nd round pick, they bring in a quarterback for no reason whatsoever. Man, they could have got, I don't know, Christian Fulton. And it's not the first time this has happened. You go back to last year with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They did it again there. Like, this isn't the first time the Eagles have turned that blind eye where you've got Jalen Hurts. You've got JJ Arcega-Whiteside. These are picks that don't make fundamental sense. JJ Arcega-Whiteside saw more snaps than Deontay Burnett. Like, what? He didn't have a single target. And he's lining up in the slot. And again, it goes, I think there is something clearly wrong. Why is he in the slot? Like, when has he ever play? I don't think he's ever played in the slot, has he? Dating back to his Stanford days. But instead of drafting a good linebacker or a strong safety prospect or Christian Fulton or whoever, you bring a quarterback who all it does is create toxicity for Carson Wentz. Gives you, 2 plays a game on read option, which are the most predictable plays I've ever seen, given that it's Jalen Hurts. You take one look at one game of Oklahoma, and all he does is read options and keep it. I just don't get it. I don't understand the drafting. I don't understand the play calling on offense. I don't understand why Pederson threw in the towel. I don't understand Carson Wentz's mechanics. I don't understand why Nate Gary continues to get playing time. I don't understand. Like, how did it get to this? This was supposed to be the game. The Eagles turned it around. It had to be the game the Eagles turned it around. And instead, we're sat here looking at an 0-2 or 0-2-1 team go up against the San Francisco 49ers. And all I'm saying is we are so damn lucky that Nickel Roby-Coleman isn't going to be matched up against Deebo Samuel, because my God, I can't think of anything where it would end up on an adult OnlyFans somewhere, I think, for San Francisco fans. The Eagles are somehow only 3.5 point underdogs for that matchup at the minute. Somehow. Considering that San Francisco absolutely blew their matchup out of the water this weekend without any players, and Nick Mullins at quarterback, and no George Kittle, and no Deebo Samuel, and no pass rush, and no Richard Sherman. And the Eagles, with a full starting team, outside... On another note, actually, look, I need to address this, and I know this is a scrappy podcast, and there's no formulation to it, but it has to be raw. Okay? Desean Jackson. He exited the game on Sunday, and he's undergoing tests on his hamstring at the moment. They believe it to be a strain. They don't know what he's going to be like in terms of availability for the San Francisco 49ers. Could be probably questionable. I'd assume day-to-day, knowing Doug Pederson. Alright? Desean Jackson has been having about 5 days of rest a week. Like, I don't think I've seen him practice. He's always on the injury report as a rest. Alright? He's on the injury report every single time as a rest day. Now, I tweeted earlier this week, why is he getting rest? Like, what's he resting from? Like, is that a communication thing? Is it the fact that there's injury? Is there something underlying that fans don't know because of utter paranoia after last season, where there was no communication between the team and fans whatsoever with the Desean Jackson situation, okay? The guy's been having ridiculous amounts of rest. And now, he's got injured again. Like, I don't understand it. Like, how? I don't get it. And the thing is, I tweeted about it, and I don't want to go there, because I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not even that bitter about it. But his mum's obviously a very big Twitter person. Searched her son's name a lot, as any proud mum would, really. And fairly, responds to criticism about him. And pulled me up out of nowhere, doesn't even follow me, saying like, oh, well, they're not like regular rest days. Educate yourself. It's to stay in prime physical condition. Well, that's going well. I'm really glad that's working for him. So great job by the Eagles on that front for taking Desean Jackson out of practice all the time to rest. Because he's in such good physical condition that he's already injured. So that's brilliant. That's nice. Fantastic. Well done. And it's just like another thing. It's like the cherry on the cake, isn't it? Like Avonte Maddox is down. And I don't... That's another discussion. It's easy to look back and say hindsight's 20/20. and say the Eagles should have kept Rasul Douglas or Sidney Jones, right? I fully understand that. But every cornerback on that team, bar one, is under 6 foot. And they're getting ripped to shreds. Like, there is so much wrong with this team. There is no rhyme or reason. And there's no rhyme or reason to this podcast as a very fitting, I guess, partner to that. And it all starts at the top. And I'm fully aware of that. But it's every level. It's like falling from a tree. You know, like it might start at the top, but every branch on the way down just stings a little bit more, doesn't it? Every little branch. Like, you go from the top branch of, you know, the very top leaf of Howie Roseman, and then you hit Doug, and you hit Jim, and you hit Scangarello, and you hit Marty Monimreg, and then you hit the drafting, and then you hit the players, and then you hit the players that aren't playing, and then you hit the scheme and the and then you end up just battered and bruised. I just think the most worrying part now is that we don't really know what comes next. Like, we've all praised Doug Pederson at some point or another for being emotionally intelligent. That's why he was hired, right? That's why Jeffrey Lurie went for him over Adam Gase, thank God. But he's always been able to galvanise the locker room. When things go south, he's always been able to keep it going, to keep the energy alive, to help the players believe in themselves, and to keep the band marching forward. No matter how many articles come out with inside sources saying the team hate each other and there's fisticuffs and everyone hates Carson Wentz and whatever, Pederson finds a way to unite them. If Doug Pederson right now is making decisions like that, which show a total lack of faith, and he's addressing pressers the way he is, and there is no leadership role on that defense like Malcolm Jenkins, to a point where it is still being brought up and Jalen Mills is nibbling whenever it gets brought up. He's like, oh, it should be over. We've got plenty of players to replace him. And why aren't they then? Why? Like, I don't understand it, you know? Is this locker room going to fall apart? Who's going to turn on who? They did it last year, for Christ's sake, with Zach Brown, and nothing even happened then. Everything was all sunshine and rainbows, and he still did it. So now, with the world turning on itself, you've got Jalen Reagor deleting tweets, Darius Slay saying we've got to be better. We can let Darius off, you know, he's been very good. But the rest of the team, I don't even think it's about being better right now. I'm really nervous that someone is going to turn on Wentz to a reporter or whatever very, very soon. I know that there are already players inside the locker room who are probably very internally frustrated with what's going on. How could you not be? You know? You've just conceded an overtime tie to the Bengals. There's bound to be some sort of backlash. And if Pederson has already checked out on a couple of occasions, I don't know where it goes. It's either you rebound now against the Niners and you pull off an upset and that saves the season, or it's done. Like, this season's done. It's dead and buried. And they're going to face one hell of a rebuild. And that's my point. It feels like they're forcing a rebuild when they shouldn't be. There's no need. This is a Super Bowl caliber team in terms of depth on paper. Forget this season. Go back to June and compare every roster in the NFL and tell me that Eagles team can't climb to the top of the NFC. Everyone was on the hype train. Everyone was on Carson Wentz and Jalen Reagor. Everyone was on Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert and that offensive line and Miles Sanders in a sophomore season that could rival some of the best we've seen in Philadelphia. And that defense now that has finally a lockdown corner and that sensational defensive line. There is no need. And if anything, a rebuild is the last thing this team needs. Because next season, they're $84 million over the cap. Good luck rebuilding with that. Like, who are you going to sign? Me and Brian and Chris? Are we going to come in? Are we going to play defensive end? Like, why is this team? Or, like, I don't know whether it's the front office or the coaching staff. The front office have drafted a certain type of player. The coaching staff refuse to adapt their scheme or bend things to that type of player or to the strengths of other players. and play their way. Somewhere along the line, we've seen it before. Jannard Avery, traded, 4th round pick last year, is barely seeing the field at defensive end. Rasul Douglas was clearly the outlier, the black sheep in the cornerback room, the ugly duckling, however you want to word it. Couldn't get on the field. When he did, he was great around the ball, had like the most pass defenses of any Eagles corner, was sent packing. Now he's doing bits in Carolina. You then go to this, what we're seeing this year, with the Jalen Hurts pick, with what we're seeing from the linebackers, with Davion Taylor not seeing the field. I don't understand. There is a clear warning sign going off here, and something is going to go off very soon. This is a ticking time bomb for a team, and I absolutely despise the fact that we are 3 weeks into a season and none of this is even hot takery. It's not like I'm sitting here going, hey, do you know what? COVID's been a bit slow and I need some content, so I'm going to manifest up some chaos and give out some Eagles hot takes. This is just a genuine warning sign of things are about to get very, very bad. And I really hope it doesn't come to that, and I hope this team can turn it around, but it is not looking good. And on that note, guys, I think I've exhausted enough energy for one point. There will be an episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports on our YouTube channel a bit later, where I'm sure we're going to get into a lot more of it. But I just want to give you something for your lunchtime. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. From myself, Desean Jackson, I'll be back on Friday for another episode of The Outsiders.